opportunity. So when you find yourself in a situation that you're by yourself, it depends on anything. Like, you know, you're not gonna say I'm a never, oy for me, or da da da. You know, like, okay, Hashem is, you know. And I told you, I think the story of Rabbi Wallerstein, who for 50 years came to the Kotel to daven Ne'ilah, and during Corona he was gonna have to be by himself, and he said, so this year I'm gonna go and daven next to the wall and feel Hashem hugging me. You know, I mean, it's like, at first it was like, what? I'm not gonna be in my hotel for the Eli for the past 50 years. And what if anybody could decide where would they want to be for the Eli? They probably would say the hotel. But this was not what Hashem wanted from that year. So this is what people did during Corona. They made a lot of healthy decisions about what, hopefully did, about what they're going to do with it. Like anything else, it's like anything else. You know, like what's going on with the soldiers. You could either sit and put your head down and cry. I guess you could do that too, and make sure you feel it for this. But also you're gonna be like, okay, makes me feel good to help the soldiers. So I'm gonna make cakes for them or whatever I'm gonna do to get involved to making the situation. So then I gave an example, which I wanna follow through with it. Today's Monday. So last Monday, I told you about how on the Friday before that, I was going through a really hard time and I spoke to a friend and I was actually crying and then she never called me back. Well, guess what? I found out she was going through a really hard time.
Wow.
And she said, I just didn't have anything to give.
You know what? That's a good lesson in non.
Yeah.
That's really a perfect.
No, listen, that's what is 100%. And not only, like I've said, I didn't fall apart. Other times I've been really upset or angry or jealous. How come she doesn't have time for me? Da, da, da. And now I'm like, and it's like, and I've also said that it's made my relationship with my husband much better. Instead of turning to everybody, like women, you know, like I turned to my husband and I was actually pleasantly surprised, you know. The other thing is, you guys, if you had really good, if you guys had a really good memory, you would remember that last week I told you, we were talking about the 5 love languages. And I said, for me, I told my husband, well, the love language that I like is when he does favors for me. Okay, you remember? So when I went home, were the dishes done?
He did them? Wow. Wow.
So you let him know your love language?
Yeah.
In words?
Yeah.
Okay, so he
Wow.
Yeah.
He heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I one time saw this video of this husband and wife, and she was saying how, I mean, it was supposed to be funny, and she was saying, and it was like, what turns you on? And she's like, you know, he was washing the dishes and he was vacuuming the floor. You know, men often think that we just want to be touched, but we don't. When you do things like that, that is the turn on.
Right.
It was funny.
Yeah. So basically, also.
We want it also. Right.
But not only.
Right. Okay, so basically, this whole idea of that when somebody helps you or doesn't help you, physically, emotionally, financially, in any other way, and there's 2 things. One is to know if the person helped you or didn't help you. You say thank you anyways. Thank you for trying. They didn't try. It's not your business. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my request even. I don't, you know, and also to remember that if they did help you, of course, you're going to thank them, but don't forget the Vav. The Vav is the connector. The Vav is it's always Hashem. It's always Hashem. And if they don't help you, then what do? Of course, you're going to go to the Vav because you're going to say, Hashem, I need help now. I don't know how to deal with this. I can't deal with this on my own. I need you. So anyways, you should always daven before anything anyways, because you want Hashem's involvement in it. So that's basically, and don't forget that Esther Malka always said, if it pleases the king, and that she was not right.
I can still hear Boris saying that.
Lucky.
My son's birthdays. So his mitzvah was on magnificent president's club. Mel got every top of every line. So
Megillah.
it starts with
Wow. Wow. Amela.
same thing with my passion. Look at him.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's just really, I started saying Perkshire again. I was really into Perkshire for a while. And teaching it, and I feel it. And I used to say, when I say Perkshire, I become an observant Jew. Because everything around me goes, oh, look at the clouds. Oh, look at the trees. Oh, look at the birds. Oh, look. And I started saying it again also. And it's getting me again connected to that idea of like, everywhere we are, everywhere. Hashem is mamish everywhere. Oh, Hashem is here, Hashem is there. Yeah. Okay, so now, after he talks about having bitachon with friends, he talks about what about bitachon with enemies? Okay, and
Personal enemies or enemies like
yeah, yes, yes.
personal?
No, both. I said yes to both. Yeah. And this is interesting because we're what?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So basically what we're talking here is so interesting because some of us are also learning Tomer Devorah. And Tomer Devorah talks about suffering somebody's insult. That's the whole,
About what?
suffering an insult. Somebody insults you, like just can handle it. What?
I said suffer in silence.
Suffer in silence if you can. Yeah. And so it goes the same thing. If you have an enemy that's insulting you, it's just, if you could do it in silence, it's called midas chasidus, like whatever, not to answer back. It's not easy. But the bottom line is you have to know that this is also coming from Hashem. It could be that there's some truth in it. It could be that this person is not good for you. This person is toxic for you, and you do not need to have this person here. And sometimes you have to make. I love this new expression I just learned. Boundaries without guilt. Boundaries. I know. We have to make boundaries. You have to make boundaries. Like whatever. Boundaries without guilt. Like I think. I don't know. Was it last night I was going out? I don't know, something was, I don't know, much of Shabbos. And then one of my kids called me and said, can you put my sheets in the laundry? And I'm like, do we have to do this now? Like, why can't you do it tomorrow? He goes, okay. And then I'm like, well, maybe if I did it, I was showing him how much I love him and I was doing a chesed for him. Maybe I should have done that. Then I thought, no, he's 17 and a half. I mean, he could put it doesn't have to call me and like, I have to be like this on his servant.
Right, if you were home and you weren't going out, you could do it easily.
It was not the time now to do whatever. So just keeping in mind all these things. If one has enemies or people who are jealous of him, don't worry, trust in Hashem and don't ever pay back. Rather do chasidim with them. Do a chesed with somebody. We don't pay back. That's not the kind of people. We don't do it. It's a no. Yeah. We don't, and of course it's a sword from the Torah, but we don't want it in our hearts. That's not where we want to be.
Right.
Because like he says, a lot of times when people, it comes from jealousy or something else. It's not really, what about if the enemies are successful at hurting him? It says like, this is his language, Rabbeinu Bachai. Tashev aleihem tov. Should only think, you should think only good of him. I'm having a hard time with that. Listen, let's say, for example, let's bring this down. Let's say, for an example, you're going for a job interview, right? So I say, there's a new store opening up, I'm going for a job interview. Really? And then you go, I think I'd like to go for that job interview too. And then you go and you get the job. So that is when we're supposed to believe, that, okay, good for you. I'm really happy that you got the job.
Tell them you were the shliach.
See? Tzadika.
That's great. Yeah.
I have to believe that really this is not my job. It's not your job. It's not the job I should have.
Yeah.
And that's what
the
it
other
comes down
person has
to.
to have something that was for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, you wonder if that person who got the job is gonna feel very guilty because they got the job and your friend who told you about it didn't. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
different stuff going.
Right.
Put themselves there.
Right.
So I think what Ali Shepherd said was a really good way to say, no, it's because of you, I even knew about it. Thank you. Maybe give them a gift.
They get the family and friends discount at the store.
The only person's deeds that you could judge are your own. So why she got the job, I don't know. I don't need to know.
Why can't you just, somebody says something really insulting to you, they're wrong and they're out of order, not your Torah, and why can't I say, that was a really horrible thing to say, I'll do
Well,
it.
first
why
of all,
can't you say that?
hold on. This is a very good question. So somebody says, you want to say something first?
In response,
Yeah.
for motivation, because it is our natural to put up those boundaries and protect ourselves. Let the other guy know that we're hurt. But there's an elevated principle, it's called an elevated principle, putting ourselves in skin. He said anything that's really hard for you, that goes against the grain, and yet you go to the higher place, we ask for Shama, okay, where's my higher self going to do this? It says that if you go to that elevated place, it wipes your slate clean.
Beautiful.
It's like you can rejoice
So
that that
not
person
easy.
insulted you because you get to go to a higher place by not responding in time.
Right.
It's so not easy.
As a higher self. It's motivation, it's hard, I'm not saying it's easy.
Right.
And it's something we have to learn, we have to train ourselves.
Right.
I think that's our goal.
But it doesn't change, I agree 100%. It doesn't change the bottom line that this person said.
So this is on Tomer Devorah.
Okay.
This is total Tomer Devorah. Total Tomer Devorah. And talking about Yud Gimel Midos with Rachamim is having Rachmanis for the other person. Having Rachmanis that they must, maybe they're going through a hard time. Maybe they're like so jealous, I can't stand it. Maybe like whatever they're going through, because the truth of the matter is I have found, I don't know what you think, that many times that I've gone to a friend and said, that was really painful, it did not help. They didn't go, oh, you know what, I'm so sorry.
We don't get it.
Sorry, no, they get defensive, or listen, I'm going through a hard time too, Doba, okay?
Or they might say, oh, I'm so sorry, you're so sensitive.
Yeah, can you get over it?
I didn't mean it. That's
What?
I didn't mean it.
Didn't mean it the way it came out or whatever.
Say it.
But the bottom line is, they really, there's all of
Wait a
this.
second.
Just one more thing
Okay,
is that what it says in Tomer Devorah is that the way you act towards other people, that's the way Hashem's going to act towards us. Mida keneged mida. We're going to forgive them. We're going to forgive their words. And, people say things like write it all down and then rip it up. I know I never did that, but people say to do such a thing.
Important. Don't think about very highly, but we need to think about person.
About what?
About the
person.
who is himself. First of all, what Doba said, we have to acknowledge, yes, this is necessary. Because we have opportunity, we get the opportunity also to apologize. Because we don't acknowledge it, person don't apologize, and it's very, very simple. And we don't want people to know clearly what the talk is. And the person knows it, and the person apologizes, and they need to. Because if the person doesn't know, he doesn't apologize, it's a very bad sin on this person. On seven, I will not stand for this person, and we don't.
So it's basically,
Talking about what we need to do, not what-
right, so basically it's saying,
He doesn't apologize, not to this sin. But if she does apologize,
It's
Yeah, but-
obviously to do with the
Right.
feelings and how. Right, right. So basically it's saying is, it's like, we can't go
The
through.
old one is not only me, another person, another soul. So the old one, so we put ourselves something very, very different. It's extremely different. But
So it says-
train now is,
So it says like, this whole idea of revenge is sort from the Torah. So if you do a chesed for that person, you're going with Mishum Sadin. It's not like that. This is something you have to do. And remaining silent is a very high level. Nobody is. It's
Remaining
just,
silent.
Wait a
Yeah.
second, but wait a
Yeah,
second.
Shtita, yeah.
When we're talking about like laws between man and man, okay? If you remain silent, and there's, all right, ultimately you want to try to let it go and forgive. But if you don't communicate with that other person and clear it up.
I
then there-
have a neighbor that I've been having.
Unacceptable.
So that they
don't continue to do it.
And the only thing that's,
So I guess, we're North Americans. North Americans are into talking about their feelings and stuff like that, much more than Israelis. And what? English. Okay, see, North Americans.
cultural.
So, right, it is a cultural thing sometimes.
sometimes speaking doesn't help.
It
But so
depends
listen,
on the-
so
depends
listen
on
to
if you're
this.
dealing with
Depends on the
if you're dealing with a
relationship.
toxic person.
Right.
That's a
Right,
different thing. I'm
right.
not talking about that. I'm not talking about toxicity. I'm not talking about a toxic person. I'm talking about, let's say I had an example, one of my best friends, years
Yeah, but we're
years
talking
ago.
about enemies.
No, we're talking about enemies
She's talking
right
about
now.
Okay, an
Talking
enemy is a
about enemies.
different thing.
That's what we're
Right,
talking
right,
about.
right, right.
So that's why I'm
Accepting-
saying.
Okay,
It says
That's
in
what I'm
Rashis,
saying.
says in
Okay.
Rashis Chachma,
okay.
accepting insult, and he was, the Rashis Chachma was about the same time as the Tomer Deborah. Accepting insult with calm, recognizing that it was sent by Hashem is actually part of the process of tshuva. So so don't just think it's like nothing. It's like bringing it up to a much higher level of this whole thing this is an avodat Hashem. I'm getting in.
What level of enemy are we talking about though? Because like, you're not gonna go to sociopathy.
No, you're not supposed to. We don't forgive them, ever. We
That's why having
Right.
is not.
Right.
It's not helping us.
Correct.
We should not
Yeah,
speak into them. We
right,
should be
right.
silent when they do something to us. Boom, they get it. No, there's nothing to
Let's
talk
get
about
you in the
anymore.
government.
There's silence. That's it.
The bottom line is whatever is coming to us, whether it's punishment, whether it's a job, whatever, we have to understand it's from Hashem. So no one can get in the way of it. That's the Bitachon.
It's so much sometimes, people say Hashem is our father, and I'm like, my father would never break my leg. He would never break my leg.
Yes, he would
My
if,
father,
if-
like, human father.
no, I'll
never
tell you,
broke my
I'll
leg.
tell you something. If sometimes there's a situation, like remember those old Westerns where they had to like cut off a leg and tie it and they put a bullet in the guy's mouth? Sorry.
What Westerns were you watching? You weren't watching Bonanza.
No, whatever. There's times, right. There are times. Right. You know the book, As Long as I Live, by Rav Bargolit. So his mother, he had everything. Like, well, one thing he had was polio. When he was a child, his mother gave him excruciatingly painful massages because it was good for him.
Institution for.
Oh my gosh, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. That he went to. Crazy stuff.
Rabbi Margot Lee.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have the book, As Long as I Live, and he just went through so much. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I told you, dealing with all this stuff, this chapter or this part of Sha'ar HaBitachon has been really, for me, very useful, because just knowing that whoever they are, your friends, your enemies, whatever the people who are in your life for a purpose. And Hashem sent them to you to work on your middos and
You know, like, I stubbed my toe, I'm like, what is this for?
right. Right. Don't
Oh,
feel,
I have
don't
an
feel the
interesting
stick,
story.
you know?
I was cutting lettuce one time. I washed it, I soaked it, I started cutting it, I cut my finger, blood everywhere.
That one?
So,
Me too.
so I thought to myself, okay, so what are you trying to teach me? But what am I supposed to do? I didn't really check the lettuce. So I start looking through the lettuce, because I don't know, I just had this gut feeling that it had to do with the lettuce, because that's where I cut myself. So I start looking through the lettuce, and there was a dead fly on the lettuce. And I was
How
like,
interesting
oh my
is
God,
that?
thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
When
Yeah,
I cut
okay.
my finger,
Wow.
it cut a nerve, and it still hurts. I don't know why.
You don't know.
It just hasn't brought me anything.
Right. Oh, it's okay. You'll get another room in your house in Olam Haba, you know?
But it hurts.
The bottom line is we really don't want to be so connected to people like we are with Hashem, for good and for bad, for simcha, for who, you know, in Tomer Devorah it talks about like you want to have such a love for Hashem, and that's why you want to do chesed. You want to do chesed because you have such a love for Hashem that you just want to copy him. You just want to be like him, and that's what it comes down to. And
It's such a
one of my
mindfulness.
favorite definitions of Yiras Hashem, of, like, you know, they say fear of Hashem and love of Hashem. And most people agree, I think everyone agrees, that you have to have fear of Hashem in order to get to love of Hashem. So what is fear of Hashem? Some people, or Hasidic people, they don't like the idea of fear of Hashem. Something in brimstone, fire and brimstone, they don't like any of that stuff. The Lidvox, I know they kind of like it. Anyways, they gets them going. Anyway, so what's the fear of Hashem that the Hasidim are talking about? I am scared to lose my connection with you, Hashem.
Wow.
I'm so scared. Hashem, please. And the truth of the matter is, I once went to a shiva. You know, there's shivas and there's shivas, right? So this shiva was like a real loser. The woman lost her son. She only has a son and a daughter, and her daughter can't have children. So that's, and then she lost her son. So that, like that, and she just got divorced. Like her life was just like, and I said to her, I started talking about Sha'ar HaBitachon, and she said to me, my biggest fear through all of this is I'm going to lose my connection with Hashem. And I started talking to her about Sha'ar HaBitachon and how much it's helped me and stuff like that. And she said she was going to go buy a copy of Sha'ar HaBitachon, because that's what it comes down to. That there really is nobody that, you know, for us to lean on and depend on. And if a person's going to hurt us or insult us, it's really, you know, oh Hashem, what was I supposed to learn from that? You know, but not to go too much. You know, there's this Rashi on when with Yosef and his brothers, and that it talks about that Yosef spoke badly about his brothers. Remember that? That he said that they were eating every minute. He was speaking badly about them. And then Rashi says something like, how does he know that they were speaking bad? Like there's a word like dalid bet hey.
Which is what? So the bear.
Deba is speaking.
Yeah.
And I said, that's like my name, Doba. And I was like, oh no, maybe I talked too much. I was talking to Rifki Kaplan, and she's like, I can't believe it, Doba. You found a source to put yourself down. Good job. How'd you do that? I'm like, you know, so yeah. She's like, leave me alone. I said, look, even my name, you know, maybe just stop it. So we, you know, our Yitzharas can take us to many different places.
It's like the person who really likes to die. It's like, what did we do? What did we do to deserve this? And I said, what did we do to deserve it? He was 96. What did we do to deserve being here?
Wow, exactly.
Why do you have to take a negative view of that?
Right,
You know?
right. Okay, now we're still in chapter 4 because it's a long chapter. Yeah,
May I just go back to the
Sure.
competition between the job applicants?
okay.
So Rachel Clausen turned it absolutely upside down. It says, the definition of happiness is anyone share a samer meaning my project. No, it means to turn it on its head. It's like samer and I'm happy that somebody else.
Very nice. Very nice. Uh-huh.
Nice picture of the book.
Okay, okay.
Hello.
Right, oh, there, good. Okay, thank you, thank you. And there's another quote that I'd like to say from Siva Shalom, that he says, Simcha is knowing that Hashem manhig et chaim shalach. Simcha is knowing that Hashem runs your life. Like whatever's happening is like, we got it made in the shade, because I got the boss on my side. You know, he's right, right. Now I'll tell you the whole thing with the Avinu B'Shamayim thing. Avinu Malkeinu, Rab Rollerstein, that's how, he was giving a shir to high school girls, and they were so unresponsive. And the shir was over, he went to the person who hired him and he said, what the heck just went on over here? He said, you know, I'm a speaker and I'm a good speaker, and I usually have the audience in the palm of my hand, and these girls were so unresponsive. He said, because you kept saying Avinu B'Shamayim, Avinu Malkeinu, most of these girls have really bad relationships with their fathers. So his whole share just. So for the ones that did not have a lovey-dovey, cuddly relationship with their father, so you just have to use a different kind of imagery when you hear Avinu Malkeinu.
You have to know your audience when you speak.
Well, that too, but just in terms, we do hear it very often, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Shabbat Shemayim, and also it was hard for me in the beginning because my father was not like that, you know, wasn't just,
But when
you
I
know.
hear of being Filipino, I don't think of my. I think of Hashem.
Okay.
My father was.
What?
I didn't have a good father. I wouldn't relate to
Right,
that.
right,
Just
right,
reminded me
right.
of-
Because there's a reason why it says Avinu Malkeinu. There's a reason why we say Avinu. It's a different relationship between being a daughter and being a Malkeinu, being a servant. There's two different kinds of relationships. And also the truth of the matter is, that it's off the subject, but the whole idea of relationship with parents, since I've been learning all this, both my parents are not alive. And my relationship with my parents has gotten so much better. It sounds funny, but I don't
No,
mean
I
it to be a
understand.
joke. I've had a lot more compassion for
I
them.
understand why they did.
They had
I understand what they did. I can't stand this expression my mother used to use all the time. Judy knows it because we're good friends. I used the tools that I had, what I had at the time. I used the tools that I had at the
In other words,
time.
I did the best I could.
I did the best I
Right.
can with the tools I had at the time. Yeah, I was like, you know, like, thanks a lot, you know, whatever. And in the meantime, you know, whatever.
True.
Yeah, but it's true. They did it.
My parents kicked me out of the house at 15. You know, okay, I won't say I didn't have a part.
I
I'm in
would
that.
have too.
Yeah, probably that would have kicked
I
me.
would have kicked
My
you out.
15-year-old daughter saying that I didn't kick her out.
Right,
I learned from my parents.
right, right,
what not to do.
right.
But yeah, now, as you said, as you become parents,
Yeah.
you mature and you get to understand why people did what they did.
Right, right.
They
And
thought it was, even if it wasn't.
and then you could forgive them.
Yeah.
And say, you know, Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry, and I really am sorry. I wish I had the maturity that I have now, but obviously maturity comes with age, and you know, they really, you
But I
know.
also, I mean, regarding my experience in my childhood, and it's a whole story, but I also, instead of having resentment or anger or anything, I feel Hashem put me in that family for reasons, like my soul needed to learn certain lessons that I could only learn
Yeah.
in that family, in that situation.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, getting angry or feeling bad for myself that I didn't really have a child.
Exactly, exactly, very good.
Yeah.
I have a friend who got abused by her father, and I said to her, I said, how do you give it the time of day? And she says it's taken a lot of therapy, a lot of money. She said, but I don't want to have hate. I don't want hate in my heart. It's between him and the kadosh Baruch Hu, what he did to me, but I don't want to have this hate. So she's worked at it. And we're all, you know, like.
I didn't have that, thank God, but he was absent. It was an absent one.
There's two levels of Bitachon on the revenge. On the revenge, low to Tor, low to cold, low to Tor. Don't give them back. That's one level. But also don't hang on to it, you're
Don't hold it
gonna let
right.
it go.
Right, right,
So the
Right,
process
right.
of therapeutic process is allows you to heal that.
right,
wound
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
So you're not hanging on to it, that's gonna be something like, so that you want that to be right.
But I think it's beyond that. I think it's to feel that you actually, you're so needed to be in that situation, something that you're needed to develop your soul and work on yourself. Not just to not have, any negative feelings, but to actually say, this is from Hashem and there's good, it's good in it. You know?
Listen,
to find the
listen.
silver, but
Exactly.
Right.
to find the silver,
Right.
I always think if I was very, very, very close with my family, I never probably could have made Aliyah. Because who would want to leave a very close-knit family?
I actually have thought about that
And
too.
I know a person who grew up a very, very surrounded by love, love, love. And for her, she cannot make decisions, she cannot live, she has change. And it's, for me, it was completely 100% opposite. I did not have anybody to be loved.
Right,
But now when I become two, I know how to connect with them.
Right.
And I know there is nobody that because really you don't have to, if you reach out to anybody, you know how to really. Because we need somebody.
yeah,
Forget, I
forgetting,
can forgive, but I have a really good memory.
uh-huh,
You don't have to do that.
right.
It's not.
Where does it say,
forgetting.
where does it say, it doesn't say we have to
No,
forget.
you don't.
There's nowhere where it says it has to forget, we have to forgive. We don't have to forget, you can't forget.
But in your head, you're
We're not
still
supposed to
thinking.
forget.
Listen,
So you're
listen.
not supposed to forget.
Right,
When my father,
right,
Well, that's a problem too.
right.
You know what, when you do
But
tshuva, you can't forget what you
to
did.
forget,
You're not supposed to forget.
you cannot forget, but you
How
can.
can you do
it's like
tshuva
it's in a
and
movie,
forget
not
what you did, like feel that
It's not
shame,
connected to
accept
the level.
the responsibility of the mistake that you made. You vow you're never gonna do it again, and if you forgot what you did, you would just repeat
Right.
it again.
No, but I have a different thing because of what I did was before I was Jewish, so I didn't have to think about it at all.
the truth of the matter is,
No.
the truth of the matter is, it's also for Valley Tuba, and I think for Valley Tuba in a way, maybe it's even harder because we hold on to things for so long. I ate at McDonald's, I have to admit, cheeseburger. No, I didn't. I don't like cheeseburgers.
Never mind.
But whatever.
I did.
Whatever. I mean, unfortunately, there's things that I regret more than McDonald's. I regret McDonald's. I do, because.
But did you know, I mean, I didn't even know about, I
Who
didn't know
knew?
kosher was. I thought
Yeah, no,
kosher was a
right,
big-
right.
I mean,
But,
yeah, I really didn't know.
Who even knew the word?
I
I didn't even know the word.
But
I
it's,
didn't
but
even know
it's
the word
just
Shabbat.
what we're doing is we're taking everything to a higher level. That's what we're trying to do. Whatever we're doing, whether, like I remember actually being in Mary Friedman, a yoga class. And I guess it was probably at the end, Harpa, is that what they call it? Anyway, we were just relaxing. And I said to her, I'm learning that when a bad thought comes in to push it away, and all the ladies jumped on me, said, no, don't do that. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it's not like when a bad thought comes in, you're like, like, I'm not groovy. I don't know how to do this, but you know what I mean? Like you breathe through it. Yeah, and you don't block it because there's things that are very, very, very painful and we have to get through them. And me and my husband, we joke a lot about things like, because I did do therapy, not a lot, but she was great. She lives here in Tzfat. She was wonderful. And I say to my husband, okay, so where do you feel it in your body? You know how they say to this, right? And he's like, I don't know. Like whatever, we joke around about it. You feel it in, or I'll say to them, I say, when you say that, my arms already getting hurt. I'm getting stressed, but like just to go through all that stuff. So like all the things that, whatever that we're learning, because the bottom line is, how do you test if you have Bitachon? The test is if you have Menuchas Nefesh, as if you're relaxed. And it doesn't mean that we don't get worried or freaked out or insulted or anything like that. That's like what you were saying before, because we are humans. And somebody comes up to me and says, well, that was a pretty bad class. I'm not gonna be like,
Nobody could have said
no,
that to
thank
you.
you, I know.
Nobody could say that to you.
No,
Sorry.
no.
I'll defend you.
Thank you. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna say, wow, I'm gonna go
Talk
home and
to
say, I talked to Aura. I'm gonna say that, was I repetitive? Was I not clear? Whatever, or what? Yeah. That
Come
too,
back
that
again.
too, that too.
Sometimes people just get uncomfortable with their own.
Exactly, but no, but
stuff,
my point, exactly,
and they
you know what?
project it. and
I feel like I'm not getting my point. My point is that when somebody insults you or makes you angry or hurts your feelings, whatever feeling you have immediately is fine and mutar, because we're human beings. The bottom line is what we're gonna do with it. If you're gonna do revenge, that's what they call it, like in murder, there's kind that you didn't premeditated and not premeditated. You know, like Rav Tversky, I love this. He says, what's the difference between anger and rage? Anger is if I would take this and hit you on the head and you got anger, you'd say, Doba, you get angry, what are you doing? You know, I take your necklace and I throw it out the window. What you're gonna do after that, that's called rage, and that's a sore. Are you gonna yell at me? Are you gonna hit me? Are you gonna call me names? That you're not allowed to do.
The anger is the initial reaction.
Yeah,
The rage is
right. If somebody,
actions that you do from.
if something sad happens, whether it is something like a person died or you just dropped a cake that you made, okay, and you're like, oof, you know, or really sad. But if you're going to end up being completely depressed and lying in bed, that's what you're not supposed to do. That you're going to be sad or frustrated or whatever, you know, that's like, that's when we have to say, pull the topa, and Hashem, I know why you did this, but you know, whatever. So,
It's good to clarify that sometimes like you feel bad, like you feel sad or frustrated or angry, like, oh my gosh, I mustn't have to feel it. It's fine.
right.
But it's good that you say, like, the feeling is, it's okay to have the feeling.
We have to, because you know
How
what?
do you not?
You know what?
How do you not?
Really? I once called Alana Cockman in Winno. She's a tzedekis, good friend and therapist. And I said to her, I'm having problems with jealousy. And I didn't even want to say it, because to me, jealousy is such an icky word. Like, just life. What are you jealous of? Well, how can you be jealous? Like, you have your thing, they have their thing. But all of a sudden, I was experiencing jealousy that I had never had before. And she said, okay, Doba, so what's it say in Pirkei Avos? I'm like, well, aren't I like a terrible human being? No. Anyways, let's say what it says and forget. Like, let's go forward with it. Let's use it. Okay, now you have this opportunity to work on this midah called jealousy. And guess what? It's one of the top three, right? Taiva, Kina, Kavod, Sina, Kina. Okay, so like, but we're talking about like jealousy is all over forgiveness. So if they're talking about it, then it must be, the Doba Shaver is not the first one who had to deal with this. You know, so it's like really taking, you know, if you want to have, you know, like I was with this friend and she was really depressed. She was going through a divorce and her ex was just, oh, it's you and you. And until she was like, and she was literally in bed. That's what he did to her. And this friend was very good. She said, you didn't do anything wrong. No, I think maybe I need medication. Maybe no, you're fine. It's just what this guy, and I called Adel Resnick. She was doing a play. And I said, Adel, I need 2 tickets. And I took her out of bed and we went to the play. And because sometimes you just have to realize you can't stay in that place. If something happened or somebody's being really mean to you, it's not, it's, you have to pick yourself up in any way you can, hopefully, that's what Hashem, you know, whatever.
Die in the trash.
I don't remember, I don't remember. Was I in the?
You
Okay, maybe.
somebody else.
So until now, we've been talking about the categories that deals with persons dealing with different people. So now it's a whole different category. We'll just started talking about Bitachon when it has to do with mitzvos. Fasting, davening, lulav, Shabbos, anything to do with mitzvahs of that don't directly imply and impact another person. So it's really interesting. I should bring it next time that the Chosel adds actually a tefillah here. It's like there's two tefillahs. There's one at the end of the sefer, and there's one tefillah here, which teaches you what? It teaches that you got to keep it going with whatever you're doing. We say when somebody does a mitzvah, we usually we don't say thank you. What do we say? And we say yeshikoach, which is a bracha, and we say tiskei lemitzvot. You should merit to do another mitzvah. That's what I do a mitzvah. What do I want for this mitzvah? What present? What scar? What craft do I want? I want to be able to do another mitzvah. So that's why we bless each other. Tiskei lemitzvah. You should be blessed to do more mitzvah. So basically the bottom line, when we want to do a mitzvah, and sometimes we're like, I don't get it. I wanted to go visit this person. I went to the hospital. It wasn't easy for me. And then I found out that then I got there, she's sleeping and they said not to come in. Like Hashem, why? I went all this way to that. Well, first of all, you probably did get the scar. But basically the bottom line is with this also, we have to believe, we have to have the knowledge of whatever we're going to be able to do, that we have to daven. It's only from Hashem that we're going to be successful. It's the same thing as like when you ask for a friend for something, we're not relying on the friend because Hashem is going to make them successful or not. But it's the same thing whenever we want to do a mitzvah that, we want to be successful. So like I said, he adds actually a short prayer. And then he talks about a little bit, he's going to go talking about this idea with a free choice because it says in the Torah, choose life. So the Torah tells us what we're supposed to choose, right? It says life is good and death is evil. That's just the karta behind. Choose life. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So when we want to do a mitzvah, we have to choose to do it. But at the end of the day, we have to know that it's Hashem that's going to get us all. It's going to make us successful or not. So whether we're successful or not, we also have to be cool about it, calm down. I used to have this discussion with Brina all the time about like every time I see all the people cooking for the soldiers, I feel bad. I want to cook for soldiers, but it's hard for me. And whatever. So last week I did. I had cakes, but at the end of the day, if I'm going to cook for the soldiers or not cook for the soldiers, it depends on how much koach Hashem is going to give me. Right? And whatever. Obviously, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to know what you want to do with your time and with your cost, right? But it's not only the idea that I'm going to choose. Yes, this is what I want to do, but you have to put it into action. Like Judy always puts everything into action. Whatever she wants to do, she puts it into action. But I'll just end on this. This thing is don't wait until you get inspired. Yeah, do things anyways, even if what?
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Like there was the story of this person who said, somebody probably a Lubavitcher said, put on tefillin, and he said, well, first I want to learn about tefillin. What does it mean? What's the Hasidic kavanah? Just put on tefillin. At the same time, learn about it, but just put it on. So don't do the action. Do the action.
I
And
heard this morning,
I just want to say one more thing, just because I'm good friends with Judy. People don't know that, and she's like and it's not always easy, to arrange for the Bas Medrash, for the boot camp, for all these things. But does she ever not do it? Never, never. She'll never not do it. Just fetch a little bit to Doba, and then and just move on, just to make. No, but here she is, and she's smiling, and
I just, if I could just mention something, first, holy day, so I live here, everybody can back and share. That can share.
Behind you.